If you're looking for a high quality set of front upper control arms to complement the 2 to 4 inch lift kit on your 2014 to 2018 Silverado or Sierra 1500, then these ones from Freedom Off-Road will be just what you're after. Featuring plenty of angle to accommodate that lift, plus uprated bushings and ball joints and high quality construction, these should stand up to everything you can throw their way. Quick note on fitment before we dive in too deep here. These arms are designed to fit 2014 to 2018 Silverado and Sierra 1500s with the factory stock cast aluminum or stamped steel control arms that have also been lifted 2 to 4 inches. Control arms may not be the most exciting of mods, but they are the key to getting your lifted truck driving basically the way it did right off the showroom floor. And the main feature here is the angle. As you can see, the ball joints here are angled quite a bit here. So even with the additional height in the front end, the ball joints sit and move just like GM originally intended. So there's no binding or alignment issues even with that lift, and you'll get some additional articulation. And without getting too deep into geometry, because that was not my strongest subject in school, having your suspension geometry be correct as the engineers originally designed it will go a long way to making sure that your truck can be aligned accurately so that you don't suffer from excessive suspension or tire wear, and so that you can drive the truck safely. And if you are going off-road, you'll find that your truck is going to handle better and it can be pointed down the trail more accurately. The ball joints themselves are similar to your originals, but these ones are greasable, so you can pop the caps off here and there's a Zerk fitting inside, and you can add some grease to help extend their life. And should they finally give up the ghost, you can just replace them completely. You'll also find hardened rubber bushings at the pivot points, and these are sleeved too, so they will be nice and strong and operate smoothly. The tubular design of the arms themselves also means additional strength to go with that additional articulation, and they'll definitely be stronger than your factory arms. When it comes to construction, well, as I've already alluded to, these things are pretty darn strong. The arms are made from 1.5 inch diameter steel tubing with a 2-layer E-coat finish, as well as replaceable OE style ball joints and hardened rubber bushings, and there are even gussets welded onto the pivot points and at the ball joint mount for additional strength. So as has been the theme of this whole video, these suckers are built for strength and they should last you a good long while. Pricing comes in at about $450, and that does put them on the more affordable side of the spectrum. If you want a set of solid control arms that isn't going to cost you a fortune and is going to work perfectly with your 2 to 4 inch lift, these are your answer. The construction speaks to that strength, and it's made all the better by the reasonable price. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now these are designed to bolt right in place of your stock arms, so aside from the lift kit, you don't need to make any other modifications to the truck itself, and these can easily be removed should you need to return your truck to stock. It's a pretty straightforward job, just one that's going to require some time and patience, especially if you haven't dealt with ball joints in a while. So with that, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process step by step.
For this install, you need a pry bar, a 3/8 impact and ratchet, 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch ratchet, 21, 19, 15, 10 and 10 quarter socket, 21, 19, 18 and 15 millimeter wrench, clip removal tool, and a ball joint tool. All right, today we're gonna be installing some upper control arms on our Sierra. First, we'll watch a quick video how to uninstall a stock strut to get you to this point, and then we'll come back here to continue uninstalling the control arm and get the new one in.
So now for the front, we're gonna start off by removing our brake line and ABS brackets. We have a 10 millimeter bolt on each, so I'm using a 10 millimeter socket to remove them. And I'm just gonna pop that bracket out of the way, throw my bolt back in that hole, and do the same thing up here. Next, I'm gonna remove our sway bar end link. So I've got a 15 millimeter socket on the bolt and a 15 millimeter wrench on the nut. Now you can pull that nut and that bushing off. Now that bushing's pretty stuck in there, so I'm just gonna take a clip remover tool, pry up on it to get that to pop free. And then we'll remove our bolt and slide our end link out of there. Next, we're gonna loosen up the nut on our upper ball joint. So I've got an 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench that I'm gonna use to remove this. And we're just gonna leave that a few threads on. Now to get access to get a tool in there to pop the upper ball joint, we are gonna have to rotate the knuckle. So what I'm gonna do is remove our outer tie rod here. That way we can turn this. So I'm taking a 21 millimeter socket to remove this nut. And if that starts spinning, we can get a 21mm ratcheting wrench and a 10mm socket to hold the stud. And it looks like it is starting to spin, so we will have to do that. So now I'm going to grab a 21mm ratcheting wrench to loosen up this nut. And I've got a 10mm socket on my ratchet. The ratchet is in the tightening position so that it'll be opposite of the nut that we're trying to remove. And you can remove your tools, thread your nut the rest of the way off, and pull your tie rod out. And now that we can turn the knuckle, I can slide my ball joint tool into place. And I'm just going to start tightening this bolt to push onto the stud. And then I'm going to grab a 19mm socket and tighten this down. I'm going to keep my hands away from this because once this pops, it can go flying. And then I'm just going to fully remove my nut here and separate my upper ball joint. So now we're on to just removing our strut. I'm going to start at the bottom here. We've got these two 15mm bolts that we need to remove. Once we pop those off, we are going to have to pop these clips off to transfer over to our new strut. So I'm going to start with a 15mm socket to remove my bolts. And now with those bolts out of there, I'm just taking a clip remover tool just to get underneath the clip and pop that off. And I'll do the same thing on this side. And now finally, we'll go up top. We've got to remove our 3 upper strut nuts. Now there should be a clip for this harness on each stud here. It looks like ours got a little twisted up, so we have one that should be on one. But once again, I'm just going to take a clip remover tool and just pop these off of those studs. And then once you have those popped free, you can take an 18mm ratcheting wrench and remove your nuts. I'll twist that the rest of the way off by hand, and then just do the same thing for the other 2. And now just get a hand on your strut, and we're just going to slide this out through the gap in the lower control arm.
All right, so we're gonna remove our 2 eccentric bolts for our upper control arm. I did mark the adjustment on the inside here just so we can get it to the roundabout place. You still will need to get in alignment after this, but we're gonna get it our 21mm ratcheting wrench on our nut here and get this off. You need to grab a ratchet with 21 to help hold it from spinning. Give it a little tap. Go ahead and pull this bolt out. Do the same thing on the other side. Pull that out, then we can remove our whole upper control arm. Now we're gonna get our new upper control arm in here. Just take note your ball joint will be facing towards the back of the vehicle. Also, you have your mount here for your brake line bracket. We'll get this in place. Just gotta maneuver it around a little bit so we can get our bolts lined up. Back on. Get both these just started, and then we'll get these tightened down. All right, same thing, ratchet 21mm socket, and then our 21mm ratcheting wrench. We can go ahead and tighten these down. Just make sure everything gets lined up. Just get that side snugged up, then get the other one lined up. Go ahead and line that up with your marks. Tighten them both down. right, now we can get our strut in place. All right, so we'll slide our strut here. As you see, we have our 2-inch spacer on there. Get all of our studs lined up. We could just let that rest on our lower control arm right there. All right, now for our lower strut bolts, as you can see, I am nut and bolting this because of the angle within the spacer now. They're pivoted wrong, so it's just a little awkward. Depending on the lift kit, you may also just have nuts and bolts. We're just gonna tap ours through. Get our nut on there. And then ours is a 17mm head with a 16mm nut. So we'll go ahead and get that tightened down. So we'll grab our 3 top strut bolts. Now, like I said, depending on what lift kit you have, you may not be reusing the factory ones, but we are. So we have our 18mm ratcheting wrench. We'll go ahead and tighten those down. All right, so we'll get our new control arm into our knuckle. We'll also do our tie rod at the same just to help hold it in place. Make sure our line stays out of the way. Just thread our tie rod nut on, we'll tighten that later. But we have our flat washer and locking nut for our new ball joint. We'll get that threaded on underneath. Now this is gonna be a 19mm, so we're gonna grab our 19mm ratcheting wrench. Go ahead and tighten that down. So while we're here, we'll get our 2 brackets back on. So we have our new mount over here with our supplied nut. Thread that on, and then our factory bolt on our knuckle. Grab a ratchet 10mm socket and tighten that down. All right, so we're gonna reinstall our sway bar link. We have our bolt with a bushing at the bottom, middle section. Get that up in place. Now you can see we're a little far off. If you need to, you can grab a pry bar. Just help get that sway bar down in position. All right, so now we got a sway bar link back in. I just had to use a pry bar and just get a buddy to help me get this threaded on. But now we're gonna grab our impact 15mm socket and 15mm wrench, tighten this down. Last thing we need to do is just tighten down our tie rod. So we have our 21mm wrench, 1/4-inch ratchet with a 10, and tighten it down. All right, now once this side's all tightened up, you can go to repeat all those same steps for the other side of the truck. And that wraps up our install of our Freedom Off-Road front upper control arms for a 2 to 4-inch lift for our 1418 Sierra 1500 with stock cast aluminum or stamped steel control arms. And remember, for everything Sierra, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.